Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to discuss current affairs of 13th March 2021. In this lecture, we are going to discuss 7 topics which are very much relevant to UPSC. So let's get started with our discussion and let us see first article. Title says Quad leaders for open free Indo-Pacific. So yesterday we also had a detailed discussion regarding background of this Quad, right? So in this lecture we are going to see what is written in this article only. So this article is important regarding international relations which comes under GS paper 2. So I want to give you one small homework. So you have to refer some facts regarding this Quad. Actually we discussed about this Quad in our yesterday's lecture. So please have a revision on that topic. Okay. And now let us see what is written in this article. First let us see context. Here members of Quad, they will become closer than ever before. So this is statement which is given by our Prime Minister Modi ji. So as we know in this virtual meet of the Quad, our Prime Minister made this statement. So this is members of Quad will become more closer than ever before. So this is our Prime Minister statement here. So if you see in this virtual meet, they mainly highlighted cooperation among member countries to beat this global pandemic with joint partnership regarding vaccines, and they also emphasized on need of an open and free Indo-Pacific region. So if you see, one of important aim of this Quad is for free Indo-Pacific region. They want to promote freedom of navigation in this Indo-Pacific region. So here in this summit, they mainly highlighted regarding cooperation among member countries to beat global pandemic with a joint partnership on vaccines. So mainly to beat this pandemic, we need vaccines here, right? So as we know in India, we have 2 vaccines like Covishield and as well as Covaxin here. They are very much effective regarding this COVID-19. So because of this, whenever we want to fight against this global pandemic, we need vaccines. So in this context, in this virtual meet, they mainly highlighted about cooperation among member countries to beat this global pandemic here, and also they emphasized on open and free Indo-Pacific region. So this is important context. And if you see agenda of this meet, so they mainly committed to a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific region, and they also talked about covering areas like vaccines, climate change and emerging technologies. So this climate change, it is high concern now because there is increasing melting of glaciers, and in Himalayas also we are seeing there is increased rate of melting of snow also. So because of this, we need to address this climate change as soon as possible here. So because of increasing sea water level, that will lead to number of disasters here. Okay. So because of increase of sea level, what happened? There are small islands which are present in these seas. So there will be inundation of that islands that can be seen here. Okay, so this is regarding this climate change, and they're also going to talk about emerging technologies regarding renewable energy. So whenever they are getting some new technology regarding renewable energy sources, then they can move towards this renewable and they can not go towards this use of fossil fuels or crude oil, etc. That will leads to high amount of greenhouse gas emissions into atmosphere. Okay, and now let us see what is outcome of this meet. So first one is they agreed to ensure equitable access to vaccines, and they also agreed to expand safe, affordable and effective vaccine production and equitable access to speed economic recovery and as well as benefit of global health. So whenever they are going for equitable access to these vaccines, then we can go for speed economic recovery, which is mainly caused because of this COVID-19. So because of this COVID-19, not only in India but almost all countries, they face this economic crisis. So whenever we are making this vaccines available to all countries, then we can ensure there will be speed recovery of economy of countries, and also it will be important to promote global health also. And next one is we also emphasize that Indo-Pacific region should be governed in accordance with human rights. And next one is we need to renew our commitment to ensure that our region is governed by international law, and we committed up to uphold universal laws and free from coercion also. So here if you're talking about one international law regarding seas, we have UNCLOS. Okay, so according to this UNCLOS, we came up with the territorial waters, integral waters, and as well as exclusive economic zone. So here regarding this international waters or international law, that is in UNCLOS here. So China, which is mainly claiming its claiming over different territories here. Okay, so because of this we need to follow this UNCLOS. So this is one important thing that you should remember here. And in this context you need to know about what is 9 dash line. So please let me know in comment box what is this 9 dash line of China. And now let us see next article. Title says bureaucrats cannot be state election commissioners. So this is statement which is given by our Supreme Court. So this article mainly talking about state election commissioners. So this article is very much important regarding GS paper 2. And today's main question is also based on this topic, that is State Election Commission. Okay. So recently the State Election Commissioner is highly in news because of incident that happened in Andhra Pradesh state. So now let us try to understand this article in a great detail. So first let us see context. Here Goa government gave Law Secretary the additional charge of State Election Commissioner. So here government employee gave additional charge of this State Election Commissioner. So because of this case mainly filed in Bombay High Court, so later on this court went to appeal to Supreme Court. So in this Supreme Court gave some judgment. So because of this article is in news. Now let us see what is Supreme Court judgment regarding this Goa government regarding Law Secretary gave additional charge regarding this State Election Commissioner. So first important statement which is given by Supreme Court here is independent persons and not bureaucrats should be appointed as state election commissioners. So first one is there should be independent persons, they should be appointed as this state election commissioners but not bureaucrats or government officers. And Supreme Court said that government employees giving additional charge of state election commissioner, it is mockery, it is violation of our constitution. And next one is Supreme Court directed that states should appoint independent persons as election commissioners along length and breadth of country. So there will be no government officers, there will be no bureaucrats, they should be appointed as state election commissioners. Only independent persons, they should be appointed as state election commissioners. So this is judgment given by Supreme Court. So why this decision given by Supreme Court? So mainly to maintain independence of election commission. So we need to appoint independent persons as state election commissioners. So whenever we are appointing this government employees or any bureaucrats, there will be state influence that is seen on this election commission, such that we cannot maintain independence of our election commissioner here. So because of this, we need to go for appointment of independent persons but not government employees or bureaucrats. So because of this, Supreme Court ordered Goa State Election Commission to issue a notification for Panchayat polls within 10 days and also complete election process by April 30. And now let us see some facts regarding State Election Commission. So in our constitution, that is Constitution of India, it vests in State Election Commission. So this State Election Commission mainly consists of state election commissioners and as well as other members. So if you're talking about the State Election Commissioner, he mainly responsible to conduct elections in panchayats and as well as municipalities, and he is responsible to superintend and as well as direct and to control preparation of electoral rolls. So if you're talking about elections regarding panchayats, they are mainly present in Article 243K subclass 1. And if you're talking about elections of municipalities, so Article 243ZA talks about this. And there is one more article that you should remember, that is Article 243K subclass 2. So this article mainly says that states that the tenure and appointment will be directed as per law which is made by state legislature. Okay. So regarding this appointment of state election commissioner, and if you are talking about removal of the state election commissioner, he shall not be removed from his or his office except in like manner and on like grounds of the judges of High Court. So how judges of High Court are removed, in the same manner the state election commissioners ought to be removed. Okay, so these are some important points that you should remember regarding this article. And now let us see next article. Title says Novavax reports 96.4% efficacy on original virus. This article mainly talking about this COVID-19 vaccine. So I want to give you a small homework. Please do revision regarding this Covaxin. In yesterday's lecture, we discussed about this Covaxin and also Covishield, because you can expect some prelims based questions regarding this Covaxin and Covishield and even Novavax. So this article is important regarding GS paper 2 under health. And now let us see context first. Novavax, it is a US based biotech company developing a recombinant vaccine for COVID-19. So recently this company announced the efficacy of this vaccine, and it is about 96.4% against mild, moderate and severe disease which is caused by original SARS coronavirus 2. And this result, it is based on phase 3 trials of UK. And next one is, in January, company reported that vaccine have proved to have about 89% of efficacy in preventing of some trial volunteers in UK. And now finally phase 3 trial result is released. So it says that now it is 96.4% efficient. And if you see some facts regarding this Novavax, so vaccine also about 86% effective in protecting against more contagious virus variants in UK, and it is about 55% efficient against the South Africa's variant. So these are some important things that you should remember regarding this article. And now let us see next article. Title says Stop Influx from Myanmar. It is a center statement. So this article mainly focusing on refugees from Myanmar. So as we know what is condition that is happening in this Myanmar. So Myanmar, it is now under military coup. Okay. So government mainly recent elections that led to winning of NDL government. So this, because of this military coup in that Myanmar, now there is dismantle of government that is seen in this Myanmar. So because of military coup here, so there are many people they coming out of Myanmar and entering into India. So because of this article is in news now. So this article is important regarding GS paper 2 under international relations. So this article, one important convention that is mainly talked in this article, we are going to see some facts regarding that convention. So now let us see context here. Ministry of Home Affairs has written to Chief Secretaries of States like Nagaland, Mizoram and Arunachal Pradesh to take appropriate action as per law to check illegal influx from Myanmar to India. So because of military coup in Myanmar, there are many people, many policemen, women, they fled out of this Myanmar and entering into India. So because of this, now Ministry of Home Affairs written to this chief secretaries of this states like Nagaland, Mizoram and Arunachal Pradesh to take some appropriate action as per law to check this illegal migration of people from Myanmar to India. So if you see some details regarding this article, it mainly says that because of military coup and as well as some subsequent crackdown of neighboring country here, that led to several persons crossing over into India. And in this context, ministry said that state government has no powers to grant refugee status to any foreigner because India is not signatory to UN Refugee Convention of 1951 or even 1967. So in this UN Refugee Convention of 1951 and 1961, India it is not a signatory. So because of this, state do not have powers to grant refugee status to any foreigner. So that here government can take some steps mainly to prevent this illegal migration from one country to India here. Okay. So if you see some details regarding these refugees, about dozen people including policemen and as well as women, they have fled to Mizoram and as well as some areas in our India, okay, because of fearing from military crackdown in that area. So if you're talking some facts regarding this UN Refugee Convention here, India has signed neither 1951 UNRC nor 1967 protocol. India did not sign even 1951 and as well as 1961 protocol of this United Nations Refugee Convention. So there are about 140 signatories and an overwhelming majority of world's 190 odd nations that is seen here. And this United Nations Refugee Convention mainly sets out which people do not qualify as refugees. So for example, war criminals, they will not come as refugees here. And this United Nations Refugee Convention also provides some visa-free travel, for holders and also travel documents which are issued under this convention. And if you see some facts regarding this United Nations Refugee Convention, so important core principle here is non-refoulement. So what is this non-refoulement? It means refugee to a country where he is facing any serious threats of this life or freedom, here he cannot be sent back. And next one is, it mainly builds on Article 14 of 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this Article 14 of this Universal Declaration of Human Rights mainly recognizes right to person to seek asylum from persecution in other countries. So according to this Article 14, mainly to protect his human rights, he can go to other country for asylum also. And next one is, this convention also provides some protocol which removes geographical and as well as time limits regarding these refugees. So these are some important points that you should remember regarding this United Nations Refugee Convention. So now let us see next article. Title says inflation quickens as January IIP contracts. So this article mainly talking about two important topics. First one is inflation and second one is index of industrial production. So if you're talking about inflation in general, what is meaning of inflation? So we can say there is increase in price of goods and services in market. That condition is called as inflation. Okay. So this topic is important regarding economy, which comes under GS paper 3. So now let us have a detailed discussion on this topic. So regarding this IIP and inflation, you can expect prelims based questions for sure. So context mainly says that retail inflation quickened in February to 5.03%. So there is increasing of retail inflation. So what is retail inflation at consumers level? Okay. So whenever consumers, they are going to shop and they are purchasing any goods and services here. So whatever inflation that is faced by these retail consumers, that is called as retail inflation. So this retail inflation mainly quickened in February to 5.03%. So this is 3 months high here. So what might be reason for increasing of inflation? So first one is, there is increase in crude oil prices and as well as increase in food prices. In food we saw there is increase in price of oil and fats here. So because of increase in food prices and as well as increase in fuel prices, that led to increase in retail inflation. So whenever fuel price is increasing, so you have to remember one thing here. So whenever fuel prices is increasing in market, so we can see that is linked to many things, and each and every product or every service which is available in market, the cost will be increased. So you have to remember this point. Fuel prices are increasing, that means there will be increase in cost of goods and services in market here. Okay. And if you see some details regarding this food price inflation, so this food price inflation mainly measured by Consumer Food Price Index, that is CFPI. Consumer Food Price Index mainly measures this food price inflation. And this article mainly says that this food price inflation that is accelerated to 3.87%. And if you are comparing with January 2021, it is just 1.96%. And now it is 3.87%. So what is important reason? Reason here is increase in prices of oils and fats, that is about 20.8% increase in price of oils and fats. And next one is prices of pulses and products, that is climbed about 12.5%. And price of meats and fishes increased by 11.3%, and price of eggs, that is increased by 11.1%, and price of fruits also increased by 6.28%. So because of all these prices which are increasing, so that led to increase in retail inflation regarding this food products. And because of increase in fuel prices, that led to increase in transportation as well as communication charges. So overall this transportation and communication category, that increased prices, that is about 11.4%. And now let us see about index of industrial production. So industrial production mainly contracted by 1.6% in January. So what is reason? Here reason because of decline of output of capital goods, manufacturing and as well as mining sectors. And output of this manufacturing sector mainly shrank by 2% when we are comparing with January. So now let us see some facts regarding this index of industrial production. So this index mainly shows that growth rates in different industry groups of the economy in a fixed period of time. So it mainly talks about growth rates in different industry groups of economy and as well as in a fixed period of time. That means in a fixed period of times in which sector there is growth that is seen. So this is called as index of industrial production, and base here is 2011 to 2012, and this index of industrial production mainly compiled by Central Statistical Office, which comes under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So this compilations that will mainly published every month, okay, that is monthly publications, which mainly done by CSO, that is Central Statistical Office, which comes under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. And if you see this index of industrial production, so it is a composite indicator measures growth rate of industry. And if you are talking about these industries, they are mainly classified into two types. First one is broad sector industries, second one is use-based sectors. Under these broad sectors, we have three types. First one is mining, second one is manufacturing, and third one is electricity. And if you are talking about these use-based sectors, we have basic goods, we have capital goods, and we have intermediate goods. Okay. And out of these 8 core industries, they may represent 40% of weight of these items in this index of industrial production. And if you see significance, so first one is it is only measure on physical volume of production, and this index it is extremely relevant for calculation of quarterly and as well as advanced GDP estimates in country. And this index will be used by government agencies, for example Ministry of Finance and as well as RBI, which will be helpful for policy making purposes also. So these are some important significance of IIP. Okay, and now let us see next article. So before seeing this article, I want to make a small announcement on this platform. We came up with this current affairs package. So in this current affairs package, we are exclusively focusing on current affairs and also means answer writing practice. So if you ask me what is importance of current affairs to UPSC, so about 50 to 60% of questions that may be either prelims or mains and even interview, you can expect questions from this current affairs. And if you are getting any static based questions, they are maximum related to this current affairs. So mastering of current affairs, it is an important key to clear this UPSC. And if you ask me what is importance of mains answer writing practice, many students they will ignore this answer writing practice. But answer writing practice, it is an important key to clear UPSC. So in final mains, within 3 hours, you need to answer 20 to 22 questions for sure. So because of this, on average, you will get about 7 to 8 minutes for one question. So within this 7 to 8 minutes, you need to read question at least twice to understand demand of question, and as well as you need to go for framework what to be written in that answer, and finally you have to write your answer within this 7 to 8 minutes. So mainly to attain that speedness and to complete those questions in a given time, you need to focus on answer writing practice on day 1 of your preparation. And if you are joining this course, we also provide you prelims practice questions along with video solutions. So in this way, this course it is exactly focusing on what is demand of UPSC. So finally, I want to say one thing. Please don't take this course as a choice. Please try to join this course as soon as possible and achieve your dream of clearing UPSC. So details of this course which are mainly given in description box. So please visit that once. And now let us see next topic here, that is 2 bad options. So this article mainly talking about Afghan peace process. And regarding this Afghan peace process, we already discussed detailedly about what is background of this Afghan peace process. So now let us try to understand what is written in this article. So this article is important regarding international relations, which comes under GS paper 2. And this article is important exclusively regarding mains, not from prelims. So this article mainly focusing on Afghan peace process. So if you see context, it mainly says that US President in a letter to Afghan President, he proposed a senior level meeting between government and Taliban in Turkey, and also a multilateral conference of envoys from US, Russia, China, Iran, and as well as India and Pakistan here to discuss lasting Afghanistan solution here. So recently, earlier US administration, that is Trump, want to come out of this Trump want to cut down troops from Afghanistan here, right? So because of this, they came up with Doha Agreement, correct? So if you see why new administration of US, that is Biden administration, each want to review this Afghanistan strategy here. So if you see February 2020 agreement that signed between Trump administration and as well as Taliban, that US mainly scheduled to withdraw its troops by May 1st here. but consensus regarding this Washington that mainly says that there is no military solution from this crisis here. So because of this, US mainly wants to get out of this longest war in his history here. So but in this letter here, US mainly worries that troops whenever they are withdrawn from Afghanistan without any peace mechanism, that will lead to rise of Taliban here. Already Taliban controls much of this country's hinterlands, and as well as it could make some rapid territorial gains also. So in this context, US seeks to stop proposing regarding interim inclusive government between varying parties. So because of this, what happened on both the sides, they should hold talks on future consolidation and as well as future constitutional and as well as governance framework. So in this context, US want to come up with multilateral cooperation also. So it want to add some regional powers like India and as well as Pakistan to play a decisive role in transition as a part of this United Nations mandated multi-party peace process. So if you're talking about this Afghan peace process, okay, so in this Afghan peace process recently, during this Donald Trump reign, they came up with the Doha Agreement. This Doha Agreement between USA government and Taliban. So in this peace process here, USA said that they will be releasing of these Taliban prisoners in Afghanistan government. So in return, US want to withdraw from this Afghanistan and it want to maintain some peace and stability in this region. So because of this, US brought some pressure on this Afghanistan government mainly to release this Taliban. Though Taliban are released here, there will be no end of violence that is seen in this area here. Okay. So next important thing is, even Afghan government representatives and as well as Taliban, they were holding talks in Doha, in Qatar and Afghanistan. They continued to witness violence. There is no end of violence. So because of this, now Biden administration do not seem to have faith in Doha talks or anything, and he want to go for multilateral approach now. So in this context, Afghan leadership does not have any good options to end this conflict. So they cannot have any option here. So because if at all US is involving here, US also came up with this Doha Agreement mainly to come up peace and tranquility in this area, but there is no end of violence. And even Afghan government came up with a number of levels of talks with this Taliban at Doha and as well as Qatar, Afghanistan. There is no use here. So because of this, now whenever government, that is Afghanistan government, which is accepting Biden's proposal here, so in that condition, Afghanistan elected leaders, they will have to share power with Taliban, and also they will have to come up with amending of this constitution such that some of this country's hard-won liberties that would be sacrificed, like they will provide a choice between these two bad options. Okay, so these two bad options here is one side you can talk about USA, one side you can talk about Afghan government. So USA came up with this Doha Agreement, but also there is no end to violence, and Afghanistan also came up with several rounds of talks with this Taliban in Doha and as well as in other countries like but there is no end of violence here. So because of this bad options, we can come with this choice. So in this choice, we can have a government that can be set up with this Afghanistan government plus Taliban here, such that they can bring some constitutional changes also, such that they can ensure some peace and stability in country. So this is gist of this article. And now let us see next article. Title says casting Asian dice on West Asian board. So this article mainly talking about West Asia. There is increasing influence of Asian countries like India and South Korea in Western Asia. So now let us try to understand this article in great detail. So if you are talking about West Asia, one thing that will comes in our mind here is crude oil. So we are going to import this crude oil from this West Asia. So because of this, mainly for energy security of country, we need West Asia here. So in this context, this article is important regarding international relations, which comes under GS paper 2. And now let us have a detailed discussion on this topic. So if you see regarding this West Asia, if you see context here, UAE, okay, United Arab Emirates exercised multi-nation exercise. So name of that exercise here is Desert Flag, that is going to be held between March 3rd to March 27th. So in this Desert Flag, Indian Air Force along with fighter aircrafts and also 120 personnel participated in this exercise for first time here. And other participants in this exercise includes Bahrain, France, Saudi Arabia, South Korea and as well as US. So here you have to remember India and as well as South Korea. They are participating in this UAE's Desert Flag. So if you are talking about this West Asia, we are seeing there are most complex security concurrents that are present here. First one is there is rising tensions between Iran and US, and next one is signing of Abraham Accord in September 2020 by Israel, UAE and Bahrain here. And we are also seeing wars that are happening in this Syria and Yemen. So these are some important complex issues that are happening in this modern times in West Asia here. So in this context, India and South Korea, they mainly showcase the growing interest of Asian economies as a net importers of crude oil, and as well as these Asian economies, they rely heavily on Western Asian states for their supplies. So as I said earlier, here India and as well as South Korea, they are mainly looking towards West Asia, mainly to get their oil imports, right? So India's and as well as South Korea's oil dependency or energy security, that is mainly based on this West Asia. So because of this, security and peace in this West Asia is also important regarding India and South Korea. So if at all there is any issue which happened in this West Asia like wars that is leading to any bomb blast regarding oil tankers etc., then what happened, energy security of these countries will be affected, such that there will be rise in prices of crude oil, and also there will be rises of everything that is leading to retail inflation in India, that can be seen here. So in this way we have increased stakes in safety and as well as security of the region from prospective political and as well as economic stability. So in this way, so because of ensuring this energy security for these two countries, they are mainly engaging in this West Asia, mainly for promotion of political and as well as economic stability in India, in West Asia. So political and as well as economic stability of West Asia, it is very much important regarding India and South Korea, mainly to protect their energy security. So in this way, if you are talking about protection in vital sea lanes, they include Strait of Hormuz, Gulf of Aden and as well as in Red Sea. So in these areas we need potential vital sea lanes also. So in this context, if you are talking about fading of US, if you see in April 2020, according to this data, it mainly says that Saudi Arabia, it became top supplier of oil to India, okay, which is mainly followed by Iraq. Not only for India but also regarding South Korea, Saudi Arabia became top supplier of this crude oil to South Korea in late 2019 here. So if you are talking about this, because of this, mainly India and South Korea, they are participating in these exercises in this Persian Gulf. That is one of important reflective of these trends and growing concerns in these Asian capitals over and ending US security blanket here. So because of increasing dependence of this India and as well as South Korea on this West Asia, okay, and we are also seeing on other hand US security which is fading in this region, okay. So we are mainly diversified from Russia and as well as USA, mainly regarding this oil imports, and we are moving towards this West Asia mainly to increase our oil imports. So as of now in January 2021, so one report mainly says that it marked first time since 1985 that US did not import oil from Riyadh, that is Saudi Arabia. So if you're talking about India's involvement in West Asia, so India is mainly involving in West Asia mainly to protect in the energy interest or energy security of country here. And next one is our former Indian diplomats also suggested one idea of equitable to importers OPEC. It is mainly led by Asian states here. So in this way they are mainly forming as a large state in West Asia oil than West here, okay. So this article, this statement that is given by this former Indian diplomats mainly said that Asian countries will depend large on this West Asia rather than West here, okay. So if you're talking about India's security footprint in West Asia, we are steadily increasing, and as well as we are steadily increasing our energy security and as well as safe passage of sea routes. So because of these sea routes which are present at Strait of Hormuz and as well as Persian Gulf, they are very much safe and secure. Because of that, we are mainly going for our energy security, and we are importing large amounts of oils from this West Asian countries here. So it is one of main driving factors why we are having increased involvement with this West Asia. And next one is Indian Navy had already made some multiple port calls from UAE, Kuwait to Iran and as well as Qatar in recent years. So because of this, we are also going for promoting security in this region. And next one is India also planned its first bilateral naval exercise with Saudi Arabia, but because of this novel coronavirus, we postponed this bilateral naval exercise, okay. So in this way, we can say there is increasing trend of Asian security interest and as well as footprint here, and there is decreased role of USA here. So in this context, regional states, they will become more responsible for their own security. So in this context, Asian economies, they become more strong stakeholders in their geopolitics that will become more visible across geography in near future. Okay, in near future we are going to see these Asian economics, they will go into rise and they will shine as a stars here. So this is gist of this article. And now let us see mains question. So are state election commissions in India as independent as Election Commission of India? So discuss. So this is a question mainly regarding this polity. Please open your Lakshmikant and refer about this Election Commission of India and try to write this answer. Answer should not be more than 150 words. By this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Please subscribe to my channel and don't forget to like, share and comment my videos. And don't forget to subscribe this current affairs package. Thank you so much.